Good evening. Welcome to the Oconee County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, September the 13th, 2022. If you're joining us virtually, we ask that you use the raise hand feature in Zoom when it's time for public comments. After a moment of silence, we'll ask Amory Harden to lead us in the pledge. Please stand. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business will be to approve the agenda, and I'd like to ask to remove items 7.4 and 7.5. This is appointment of the Board of Elections Chairman and Tourism Bureau member. These were put on in because of my error, and I'd like to take those back also. We can follow our normal procedures for these appointments. So if we could get a motion to approve with the removal of those two items.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the corrections.
Second.
Okay, we have motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is any statements and remarks from citizens, and this is for anything not on the agenda tonight. Anyone virtually? Thank you. Any statements or remarks from commissioners? I was out of town last week, missed the official ribbon cutting for the senior center expansion, but that is complete now. Thanks to Governor Kemp for the grant from the CDBG program. Also, you can find information on T-Splosh on our website. Also included in that section of the website is a quick survey we like for citizens to participate in. So if you would go visit that site and participate in the survey for us. Next item will be approval of the minutes. This is for our regular meeting on August 2nd, town hall meeting on August 23rd, and our agenda setting meeting on August 30th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Here we have motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is the second reading consideration of the proposed property maintenance code. Guy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is the second reading for the proposed property maintenance code, section 3813 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances. Again, the proposed ordinance will require that the exterior of all non-residential developments, major subdivisions, and R1, R2, and R3 zone properties be maintained in a clean, safe, secure, and sanitary condition. You have before you the amendments per discussion last time, which would essentially add properties zoned R1, R2, and R3 as defined by the County Unified Development Code to section 38-13101B. And then also the modification section, which will allow staff to extend time limits if appropriate justification is provided. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Do we have any questions on this item? So we feel like that fixed our questions from last week.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Guy. Any public comment? Anyone virtually? Thank you. With that, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the proposed property maintenance code changes.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is discuss and consider the resolution on the reduction of the ad valorem millage rate upon passage of the 1% T-Splosh. So on our November 8th ballot, we will have an opportunity for citizens to vote on a T-Splosh. This is a 1% local option tax that is designated to go to transportation purposes within Oconee County. We estimate that we would raise roughly $60 million from this 1% sales tax. This would come We would share that with all four cities that have agreed to participate. About 8 million of the 60 will go into the cities for their specific projects, leaving 52 million left for countywide projects. We've done some research and found that the Epps Center area, roughly sales in that area, roughly around $150 million a year. With the addition of Costco, that will be 250 million just from that small area there. And if the questions on when the varsity coming or any indication, we should be at 350 million for that area before long. Also, we're able to determine that roughly just in that shopping area, about 80% of the people coming in the shopping center are from outside of Oconee County. The county has divided its share of the money up into 4 project areas. The first being a property tax reduction. So we're going to, with passage of T-Splosh, we will reduce the mill rate by 1 mil, which is roughly a 17% reduction in your taxes from the county side of the house. We also will be spending $30 million on road resurfacing. And right now, without T-Splosh, we'll be resurfacing about 62 miles of road over the next 5 years. With T-Splosh, that will be 212 miles of road. And that's using our traditional resurfacing. We're also investigating, we had a consultant come in and look at our roads and rate them. We're looking at some intermediate treatments that may even extend the life. So we may be able to hit more than 212 roads if we change up some of our methods. There are no new roads proposed with any of this money. This is all about maintaining what we have. We have $4.5 million set aside for intersection improvements, and that will include intersections such as Union Church at New High Shoals Road, Column Ferry at Astondale, Morse Ford at Lane Creek at Snows Mill, and Cold Springs at Snows Mill. We're currently in design phase for those. We anticipate being able to complete all 5 of those. It'll take 15 to 20 years without T-Splosh, and we believe we can do all 5 of those intersections in less than 10 years with T-Splosh. And we have $3 million set aside for multi-use or trails. We're currently in design now on Hog Mountain Road for a multi-use path to run from Butler's Crossing down to Wellbrook Road. Some of the others that we've been talking about throughout the community for several years is connect Daniels Bridge Road, which would connect Hog Mountain back to Mars Hill. Also connecting all of our schools, our high school, both high schools, to all the parks along the 53 corridor. Right now we're working with the regional commission on a trail master plan. So there'll be some opportunities for everybody to look at what those paths will look like and have public comment. And some of those priorities may get shifted from what we're thinking as a group here, but that's coming up as well. So our item here tonight is it's to have a public vote with everybody up here committing to the 1 mil reduction. And that would be for the entire life of the T-Splosh. So T-Splosh would start collecting, if passed in November, it will start collecting on April 1st of 2023. So this 1 mil reduction will begin in the 23 tax year. So it'll be 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 will maintain that reduction. So with that, I'll just go through and read the resolution right quick, and then we can have any comments we need on. This is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Oconee County, Georgia, concerning the reduction of the ad valorem millage rate upon the passage of a 1% transportation sales and use tax as authorized by Article 5A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia. Section 48.6.260 of the Official Code of Georgia, as amended, authorizes the imposition of a 1% transportation sales and use tax, the proceeds of which shall be used for only for transportation purposes. And whereas the Oconee County Board of Commissioners has determined that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Oconee County that a 1% transportation sales and use tax be imposed in Oconee County to raise an amount of $71 million for the purposes of funding transportation projects. Whereas the Oconee County Board of Commissioners of the Oconee County Board of Elections and Registrations is calling for a vote on such tax. Whereas the passage of such tax will allow for reduction of the portion of the ad valorem taxes which fund transportation projects. Now therefore be it resolved by the Oconee County Board of Commissioners, by the Board of Commissioners of Oconee County, and it hereby be resolved by the authority the same as follows. Board of Commissioners resolves to reduce the ad valorem millage rate by 1 mil beginning with the 23 tax year upon the passage of the 1% transportation sales and use tax, and to be continued for the duration of such tax. Any questions or comments from anybody on that? Good with it? Cool. Any public comment? Anyone virtually? All right, we'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the Board of Commissioners to reduce the millage rate by 1 with the passage of the T-Splosh.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Now we're going to move into our hearing and actions on zoning matters. Just going to run through our procedures right quick. So the rezone petition shall be presented by the county staff with no time limit. The applicant and those wishing to, and those signed up to speak for the petition shall be allowed a total of 20 minutes, less the applicant's reserved time for rebuttal. Those signing up to speak against the petition shall also be allowed a total of 20 minutes. Public comment portions will then be closed, and the Board of Commissioners will have an opportunity to ask questions as they find appropriate, and then the board will take action as set out by the Unified Development Code. With that, we do have a request for deferral that Guy's going to come up and present at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Council representing the applicants for rezone P220061 and variance P220127, along with the council representing the opposition, have requested deferral of the public hearing that was scheduled for this evening until the October 4th Board of Commissioners meeting. The board will need to vote to grant the request for deferral.
Very good. Any questions on that? Okay, we'll entertain a motion on the deferral.
I'll make a motion to approve the. A second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. That'll move us into our first variance, which is P 22-00119. This is Barnesville Development Corporation to reduce the required 25 foot of spacing between large trees and to allow for planting materials less than 4 feet from the public right of way. This is 3.5 acres located at 1047 Summit Grove Drive, and it's a medical office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is variance P22-0119, Barnesville Development Corp., located just North Main, just north of, and Summit, just north of Watkinsville. This is the subject parcel. It's currently zoned OIP in the Civic Center character area. And again, the request is for a hardship variance to reduce the required 25 feet of spacing between large trees and to allow planted material less than 4 feet from the public right of way. This is the concept plan that's in your packet showing the location, the as-built location of the trees, the zoomed in concept plan that you also have in your packet showing the proximity to the right-of-way line and then the proximity to each of the trees. This is the approved landscape plan that was supposed to be followed. And based upon the standards and limitations for hardship variance approval, this request does not meet all the necessary conditions to grant a hardship variance. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from the owner or the agent of the owner. Yes, sir.
Evening. I'm Mike Bretz. I'm the president for life of Barnesville Development Corporation. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, because my voice can carry. I have a question over the term hardship. In my capacity, when I used to live in Florida, in Brevard County, Florida, which is the home to the Kennedy Space Center, which is like 500,000 people and 73 miles of coastline. I was a member of appointed to the County Planning and Zoning Board. So I understand what we're doing and the condition and the terminology that we use. So I just want to say the hardship word is your word, not my word. I don't think that this is a hardship issue. I happened to notice as I was preparing for the meeting, when I applied for the variance, I was told to check the box hardship variance, but after I was reviewing the documents, what I'm really doing is appealing an administrative decision, because it's hard to make an argument for a hardship because I created the hardship. I mean, being very honest, I created the hardship by where the trees were planted, but I didn't know, you know, I was advised by a gal named Monica that works for you folks, and I believe that today was either her last day on the job or tomorrow is her last day on the job. She helped me fill out the application, and as I reviewed it before this meeting, it really is more of an appeal of an administrative decision, not a hardship thing. So it's hard for me to make a hardship argument, but that's not really what I'm doing. So quite frankly, the whole issue here is I'm assuming everyone knows where this project is, has driven by and seen what's been constructed there. And the second building is now completed. There are 2 more buildings on the book. So eventually you're going to have a 30,000 square foot office park. All the buildings will be similar to what's there now. So the issue is when the trees were planted in the dead of winter, I didn't happen to be there when Southeastern Growers in Farmington supplied the trees and provided, and they also planted the trees. So I wasn't there, and I didn't realize at the time that there was a issue here. The problem is some of the larger trees are maybe 2 feet. They're supposed to be 25 feet apart. They're maybe 2 feet or 3 feet too close. Okay, given the scope of the project and what we have there, I think that common sense would tell you that those trees are probably are okay, even though they don't meet the letter of the code. And I have no hard feelings with Guy. Guy's job is to enforce your ordinances and your codes and so forth. But I think that that's why we're here, because I think this needs to have a little common sense applied to it. Southeastern Growers told me that given the stage of growth that the trees are in, if I tried to, they said you cannot relocate those trees. You have to just take them out, burn them, and plant new trees. So I'm asking that you all, since there's no one can tell me that there's a standard rule or a reason that the trees have to be 25 feet apart. It's just, in my opinion, an arbitrary number that was picked to do that. So I think common sense tells you those trees, the way they're spaced there, if you've seen it, they look fine. Anybody driving by would not know that some of those trees are 2 feet maybe close together. It's not like they're 10 feet close together. It's like they're a couple of feet put together, close together. So I don't see a reason to make me trying to do a nice project there, kill some trees to move them over a foot or 2. That's the issue on the 25-foot question. The other question is there are several of the trees that are not, they're supposed to be 5 feet from the property line, which is also the right of way. And some of them are maybe 2 feet away instead of 4 feet away. One, I believe, is right on the line, because after when this issue came up, I had the surveyors go out there and we put a string out there so that we could see. My argument there is I believe I meet the intent of that requirement, and here's why. As you know, Summit Grove Drive used to be old 441, which was a state right of way, and it has an unusually wide right of way because it was a state road, not a county road or a city road. It has a huge right of way. Those trees, even the ones that are in violation, are 40 feet from the pavement. And the intent of that is this. So when those trees mature, if somebody's driving down that road and they veer off the road for one reason or another, they don't want the trees too close to the road that somebody will hit the tree and cause an injury, maybe death, because the trees are too close to the pavement. These trees are 40 feet off the pavement, number one. Number two, Summit Grove Drive is now a dead-end street. You're not gonna find anybody going 55 miles an hour down Summit Grove Drive. So I think the intent is to keep the trees away from the pavement. And I'm saying that they're plenty far away from the pavement. So in a nutshell, that's basically my position. And I'm here to answer any questions. And just, let me know. But to me, it's a common sense issue. I mean, those trees look good. They're all healthy with the exception of one, which I thought was going to come back, but it looks like it's goner. So I will be replacing one tree. And when I do replace that tree, it's one of the, I'm not sure it's one of the 25-foot ones, but you could bet your bottom dollar that when I replace that tree, it's not gonna have another tree within 25 feet. And I'll tell you that. So anyways, this was unintentional. It wasn't done with any malice or for any other reason other than it was an oversight. And I don't think it's that big of an oversight to cause me to have to pull out trees. Given when you drive by, you can see it looks nice, I think. So, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is it guys? That's fine.
We gotta take a few more comments.
I'll sit right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, does anyone else wish to speak for the variance? Anyone virtually? Does anyone wish to speak against? Anyone virtually? With that, we'll go ahead and close the public comments and open up to any questions from commissioners. With that, we'll entertain a motion. Yes, sir.
I hate to see trees killed too, but what I would like to know if there are any of these trees are die during the process that they are corrected and any other things they are.
I'm having a little hard time hearing you, but I can put my hearing aids in.
No, I'll try to get mine. If something happens to those trees and they don't make it,
Yeah.
you clean it up and you get them where they're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to see trees killed, if they're living and if it's something we can live with, then I'm okay with that. You just fix it.
Absolutely.
I would say this to, probably if the trees weren't doing well, I think those that planted them, need to follow the guidelines on.
Yeah, and out of all these 73 trees that we planted on that site, there was only one that died. It looked like it was coming back, but it's not survived this hot summer. So there's one that's definitely going to be a goner. In fact, I was out there a couple days ago scratching the bark to see if there was any green underneath. It's a goner. So when I replace that tree, which I'll do soon, I will move I'll move it so that it's in compliance. I'll put the new tree so that it's in compliance. It won't be within 25 feet of any existing tree. And just as a side comment, if you've been through the property and you've seen it, all of the required landscaping is in, but I have a bunch of islands there that just have bark in them right now. Those are all going to be landscaped this fall. It doesn't make sense to do them when it was so hot out right now. The plants, shrubs against the building and in the island, that's all going to be dressed up this fall. And that wasn't necessary for code or whatever, but there's a lot more landscape coming there. But it just doesn't make sense to try to plant when it's so hot. So in the fall, when it's cooler weather, when it reaches us, there's going to be a lot more landscape, which will even make the buildings, I think, look more attractive. You just have, some of these areas, nice plants. That's better. Yes, you have my word on that. You can put it in the minutes. We did. Absolutely. If any tree gets stressed out and has to be replaced, it will be replaced in the proper spot. Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have a question of Mr. Herring. Does this set a precedent for us if going forward? Have we made these exceptions in the past?
Not to my knowledge, no. We have people misplace trees not according to plan and have to move them pretty consistently.
So if we approve, this request for this variance, then we're set a precedent for anyone else that comes forward that makes a,
I'm sure that anybody that came in later would argue that it's a precedent. I don't think it really has any effect on whether you enforce it later or not. I think any decision you make should probably be based on the fact that what's there complies with the intent of the ordinance. And honestly, I would prefer that you deem this an appeal of an administrative decision than a hardship, because it doesn't qualify as a hardship. I mean, just straight out, your ordinance says you can't decide this is an acceptable hardship, because it says you shall not grant a hardship variance for any condition that was created by the owner of the property. Just straight out says it.
my next question, Mr. Hearing is, if the plan was approved, was that what was used by the, is it Southeastern Growers? Did they use that plan? So they're just absolved of any responsibility, so they handed it over to you?
Yeah, I believe, that was a joint failure, okay? It was a failure on their part because the plan was approved, you know, you would have thought they would have, this is my first project in Oconee County. I live in Lamar County, which incidentally is the third smallest county in the state, I think we're number 2. And, they are, so I was not physically present when they actually installed those trees. Might have been a different, I'm not saying I would have caught the error, but it might have been, there would have at least been one more set of eyes on it. So, so that was kind of in my opinion, that's partly my fault and partly Southeast Growers. Just, I don't mean anything, by this, but there was with the guys who were planting the trees, let's just say there was a huge, language barrier as well. So that's probably part of my issue too.
So they're not taking any responsibility as far as financial?
If I have to move the trees, they'll be taking financial responsibility. You follow me?
Well, I understand. I've been in business, yeah.
I hear you. I mean, I have an active license to practice law in the state of Florida. Trust me, if your decision is against my request,
Right.
I'll be having that conversation with Southeast Growers. You know. Right now, I haven't even, other than telling them what's going on and whatever, we have not discussed that, because I'm hoping that that will be an issue, and I don't want to have anything unpleasant if it's not really going to happen. Okay, if it is, there may be an unpleasant conversation between me and Brian, the manager at Southeastern Growers.
I've had those before.
Yeah, trust me.
You know, when
I've
you,
been on all sides of these issues.
yeah, when you're in business and you make a mistake, you
It's not-
man up.
Trust me, on this project, I've made
Admit
a
it.
few mistakes here and there, you know,
Yeah.
using all new stuff. I've had to pick up the pieces of my shattered life and move on.
Yeah, cause we've misquoted rates on loans before, and we've had to, stick with what we said we were gonna do.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, if this is not a hardship variance, I don't think, what's the qualifications for an administrative appeal? Because this is not a interpretation of the code. This is a direct, it's gotta be this number of feet.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
pretty perplexed as to how y'all can make a decision to allow this.
Cause you got the UDC, you got a plan that matches UDC, and then work was not performed per the plan nor the UDC. It's not really, in my opinion, guy doesn't even have a say in whether this is good or not, so there's nothing to.
Yeah, there's some provisions in the UDC that say that it'll be interpreted in accordance with enforcing the intent of the UDC. And I suppose if the board just decided that what's out there is, within the intent, I wouldn't like it very much, but you could decide that, I suppose.
I just know, I get a
Yeah.
lot of calls about our final inspection, and we have a very detailed review of that. And if says 25 feet and it's 24 feet, then somebody's having to dig a plant up and move it.
What I would say is, I don't think there's anything in front of you that you can actually grant from a legal standpoint. But I think this might illustrate a need for a variance that would deal with this kind of thing. Where if you look at it and the trees are 2 feet off, or they're a little bit too close to the line or whatever, that the guy would have some discretion in saying that was okay. He might tell me he doesn't want to do that, but, just in terms of what's authorized by your ordinance, I don't see it here.
So what we got is he's gonna have a tough conversation with.
That's what it sounds like. And I kind of hate that, because I hate to see trees
Yeah,
moved
me
and
too.
all that.
Interject. So what is my recourse with you to ask, in other words, I understand the hardship thing, because, yeah.
You have to,
If it's not an appeal of an administrative decision, which I think is what I was doing, what is my redress to have my, someone make a decision to do that?
I think,
That's, you don't, apparently you don't have a code section. Quite frankly, I think if Guy had the ability in your current ordinance to have a little bit of discretion, I don't think he'd be here, but he really does, he has to enforce the code the way it says. So as a taxpayer now in this county, to the tune of, it's gonna be about 40 grand a year, once the other 2 buildings are done, I should have some form of redress short of court waters, to try to get this issue resolved. In other words, you see, so what is my, you may not have something in your code yet, but you may want to make in the future, I'm not having to do, that's your turn. But, somebody else's attorney. But if you want to, you may need to make a change, that's up to you, but I need to know now, the reason is, right now, depending on the outcome of this hearing, I still have a temporary certificate of occupancy, and I need to cross this last item off of my checklist to get a permanent certificate of occupancy. So what is my redress to get my issue resolved? If there's nothing in the code, because it's something that's come up that you just now found out it's not in your code. What is my option? What do I do? Just tell me what to do. And I don't think telling me to go move the trees is really fair, because that doesn't give them a chance to make a decision.
nonetheless, the code has a specific requirement that hasn't been met. And there's really not anything in the code that gives us any way to help you on this.
So I think that's why you were told to check hardship variance, because that was the closest thing to get you to this point. However, it still does not meet the letter or intent of the hardship variance.
And if someone had asked me about that, I would have said, no, that's not what hardship variances are for. As you,
It's
That would be a thought.
We could take that off the table. It's not hard to bench. This is more of a common sense or appeal of an administrative decision. I planted the trees. And you, like you say, that's the absolute interpretation of a hardship. I created that. I can't say I have a hardship. Something like that.
So I guess I would say we typically look at our UDC throughout the year, and if that's something the board wants to address at a later date, to look at some kind of variance. So we can get some study in on that.
I think, let me address all the codes, because the UDC talks about a lot of different codes. And so if you start this process with one code, then you got to do it for all. And then you'd have the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC, and everybody else lined up to do the same thing. So, each one of those codes has specific items that you're supposed to do. And as a builder, that's your responsibility. And so if it says that it needs to be 25 feet apart, it needs to be 25 feet apart. Now, if it said 25 feet plus or minus 6 inches, then you would be fine, but the code doesn't say that. So it's your responsibility as a builder to have a surveyor go out and mark each one of those locations and not have it up to the interpretation of somebody that can't speak English.
To that point. Your point is well taken, but it just, there has to be, just because your code doesn't address this, my argument is your code probably, you might want to consider making your code address the situation. case it comes up again, but, yeah, so I understand what you're saying, but there's a common sense rule. It's got to come into play here somewhere. That is a 25, you tell me why it needs to be 25 feet. Where did that number come up with?
No,
25?
that's not, our code was reviewed not that long ago, but we brought in landscape architects, we brought in professionals from the University of Georgia
Yeah,
to look at it. So it's not just somebody picking a number.
right, I got
It-
it, but.
We had in our, so that's totally inaccurate way to look at what we're doing here.
Okay.
And the,
understood. I did
so
not know that.
it was a method to it. You can disagree with it. There's no problem with that. But when you got bigger trees, when you get to that 25, I'm sure you're talking about probably oak trees.
Yes.
All right, so they're gonna have the wide span.
Right.
So
What about the ones that are close to the property line? Did your experts, just make up that rule that they had to be 4 feet from the, you see what I'm saying? Is that something that they?
I'm sure it
is
has
that
something to do with road main. There's all, I don't know exactly how that portion came out to be. But what I can tell you is it's there. And yeah, the right of way is extremely big, but to say that will be a dead end road from here to eternity, I don't know that you can say that. I bet you got people running 55 miles an hour down that section of road already. If you talk to the neighbors over there, they're gonna tell you that's the case.
Yeah.
So any other questions from commissioners? All right. I think we need a motion at this time.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to deny whatever we want to call it, hardship, variance, or whatever. Make a motion to deny the request.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny variance number P 22-0119. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you.
Now we'll move to the special use, P 22-0132. This is Prince Avenue Baptist Church, community scale church. It's a 74.53 acres located on Monroe Highway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is P 22-0132, Prince Avenue Baptist Church, Inc., located off of Highway 78. This is a aerial of the two subject property parcels. They are currently zoned AG in the community village character area and the suburban neighborhood character area. Again, the applicant is requesting expansion of the existing special use permit number 7787 to include the newly acquired acreage to be used for expanded athletic fields. This is the concept plan that you have in your packets. This is Highway 78 and Ruth Jackson. These are the architectural images. And staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. Planning Commission also recommends approval with the same conditions. Thank you.
Mr. Carter?
Good evening, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, Jeff Carter, Carter Engineering Consultants, 3651 Mars Hill Road in Watkinsville, representing Prince Avenue tonight. Dr. Seth Hathaway is here. He's the headmaster at the school. He's been there for several years now. Richard Ricketts is the athletic director, and he's also here tonight. And they're very excited about this expansion and really looking forward to it, and hope that we can have your support. If you would take a look at the screen here, I wanted to just point out a couple of things. Highway 78 is the bottom of your screen here. And then Ruth Jackson Road kind of curves around here. What you see kind of grayed out is what's existing. There's the football stadium, if you're familiar with that. And then the existing school building is here. The church just installed this parking lot, just to give you some orientation. And so this is the 14 acres that the church and school has had their eye on for several years, and just recently has been able to acquire that and want to expand their facilities, not necessarily to expand the numbers, but if you've ever been to any activity there, it's the existing athletic facilities are basically just right here, and it's just really cramped. So The additional 14 acres is going to provide some much needed expansion of the facilities. This is going from left to right. This is a indoor, I should say not an indoor, an outdoor infield practice area here. This is the tennis courts that will be built, and this is a pavilion. There's actually a couple of pavilions here. These two large fields here are basically practice fields. This is a competition field. Part of this building that's showing here is already there. That building is already there. And this will be an expansion that will include locker rooms. As you know, the school has many sports activities, many teams, and there's really a need for some more locker rooms. There will be some additional parking through here. And then we also are planning on putting a right in, right out onto Highway 78. There's plenty of distance here to meet GDOT standards. And this will provide a much needed additional ingress and egress point from the campus directly onto Highway 78. We're also planning to put a curb cut here onto Ruth Jackson Road. So I would like to read a letter from the homeowners association. Across the street is a neighborhood, and the president of the Power Ridge Homeowners Association, Brian Womack, wrote this letter. He was not able to be here. I don't think he's here in attendance tonight, so I wanted to read this letter. Dear Commissioners, back in May of this year, the leadership of Prince Avenue Christian School reached out to the Power Ridge Homeowners Association Board of Directors, asking for a meeting to discuss a proposal for renovating existing athletic facilities on the school campus, as well as installing new facilities on campus to better serve the student athletes of Prince Avenue Christian School. We were extremely appreciative that the leadership of the school would include us in the planning stages of this project, and was pleased to get a comprehensive overview of the project, including design concepts, scope of work, and proposed schedules. From this meeting, we were able to put together a comprehensive report, which was presented to every household in the Power Ridge neighborhood. We were able to answer questions, address a few concerns, and inform the membership of the relevant meetings being held by the Oconee County Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners. The response from the members was overwhelmingly in support of this project. Subsequently, the board was authorized to attend the Planning Commission in strong support of this project, and was pleased to be able to articulate that to the Planning Commission. We have developed a strong partnership with Prince Avenue Christian School with a common goal of improving our neighborhood area that enhances the quality of living for all our neighbors, which greatly benefits both organizations while also supporting the young people of various communities that attend PACS. We are pleased to lend our support for this project and strongly urge that the Board of Commissioners approve the special use change request asked for by PACS. Therefore, allowing this project to proceed as presented to the board. We look forward to seeing this project completed and continuing our strong partnership with Prince Avenue Christian School. So just wanted to read that to you, and be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Mr. Power?
Mike Power. I'm here to let you know that I'm in favor of it. I own the property to just the immediate south, adjoining to the overall Prince campus. I own the property to the west, adjoining the Prince campus. And I think it's quite a improvement of the campus. And, you know, we're not costing the taxpayers any money out there by providing these recreational improvements. So I recommend that you approve it as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak for the special use? Anyone virtually? Does anyone wish to speak against? Anyone virtually? Thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and close the public comments and open up to any questions for commissioners.
I got one. Did you get asked to put in pickleball courts out there?
That was my question. I was fixing to ask the same thing.
That may be a question for the athletic director. Right?
If you didn't, I'm surprised.
Any other questions? We'll entertain a motion at this time.
I make a motion, we approve special use P 22-0132 Prince Avenue Baptist Church Community Scale Church. Plus or minus 74 acres located on Monroe Highway with three conditions.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve special use P 22-0132 with three conditions. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. So our next item is variance number P 22-0159. This is B Quad T Holdings LLC to increase the maximum allowable parking spaces from 14 to 28. This is plus or minus 0.66 acres located at 1091 Park Drive. It's a medical office. There's also a variance P 22-0164 for the same location to reduce the 50-foot incompatible land use buffer to 5 feet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is P 22-0159 and P 22-0164, B Quad T Holdings LLC and PERD LLC. This is located over at Stonebridge Parkway and Park Drive. This is the aerial photograph of the subject parcel and building that's currently zoned B1 in the Civic Center character area. And again, the request is to vary section 806 and table 8.1 to reduce the required 50-foot incompatible land use buffer to 5 feet. And to vary section 60401C and table 6.1 to increase the allowable parking spaces from 14 to 28. You have in your application packets the proposed concept plan showing the new drive extension that would come to the back of the building with the proposed parking, additional parking. This is the location of the subject property, and you can see on the proposed final plat for Stonebridge residential village of Stonebridge, that this is all open space that is proposed to be platted as open space and undevelopable. And staff believes both requests do meet the necessary conditions to grant the request with the two conditions. One, our standard condition. Number two, the 9 proposed parking spaces that are along the rear line adjacent to the Village of Stonebridge Conservation Area shall be constructed of pervious or porous pavement or equivalent as approved by the Public Works Director. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from the owner or the agent of the owner.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, my name is Patrick Perry. I'm a landscape architect here as agent for the owners of the subject property at 1091 Park Drive. The subject property contains a 3,800 square foot office condominium building and a small parking lot with 19 spaces currently. Property has been used for numerous years by the owners as home to respective businesses, which is a professional counseling office and a pediatric dentistry practice. As Oconee County population has grown over the years, these local businesses have also grown and now have a need for more parking. As such, the owners would like to add more parking to their property and are requesting the variance to exceed the maximum on-site parking and a reduction of the incompatible use buffer. These variances are not approved. The property owners will not be able to increase their on-site parking when their businesses will be negatively impacted. We want to thank the planning department and Guy for their help with this review of this variance and this application. They recommended for recommendation for approval of this request. We do have one item that's current that we'd like to talk about. Is the staff condition that 9 parking spaces be constructed of pervious or permeable materials. Well, we understand that one of the intent of this is to kind of limit the impervious surface and reduce storm management requirements. We're still going to be above 5,000 square feet for this addition, and we'll still need storm management in addition to permanent paving, and we're proposing to do underground detention right now. This small area of permanent paving will not satisfy stormwater alone. It will just be additional to the underground detention. So we're looking at doing underground detention, pave the entire parking lot with asphalt. By using the asphalt versus permanent paving, the overall cost of the paving should be a little less on the owners. And the ongoing maintenance associated with permanent paving is a lot more than the asphalt, so be more maintenance on the owners. For this reason, we respectfully request that our variances be approved as outlined by the planning staff without the condition of the permeable paving. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak for either variance? Anyone virtually? Does anyone wish to speak against either variance? Anyone virtually? With that, we'll go ahead and close the public comments, open up to any questions from commissioners.
Guy, I've got a question for you. So can you address the paving issues they just?
Sure, yeah, staff's intent was to provide, assist with providing water quality through the porous paving or either through, pavers or the geogrid, with gravel and it can be addressed either way. As Mr. Perry mentioned, you can address it through underground detention and your water quality through that manner. We were hoping this would be an alternative to that water quality requirement. But detention is still going to be required either way because there is no stormwater on these lots that was developed prior to that.
So we're not requiring any storm filters or anything of that nature. It's just a underground retention with the standard
Well, it's,
features.
that's right, with water quality features as required by the Blue Book.
Okay. All right. So no bioretention or anything like
Right.
that.
That was not discussed.
Okay. So do you have an issue if we go with the entire paving and then allow him?
It can be addressed either way.
Okay.
So, no.
Any other questions? We entertain a motion for variance number P 22-0159 first.
I'll make a motion to approve variance P 22-0159 with the conditions that stated, but then to modify the one so that it will allow the non-porous paving. If that makes sense.
Can you just
I'm sorry,
delete the
is that
second?
deleting number 2?
Yes, basically, I mean, or reword it, whichever's easier.
Yeah, that's fine. If you'd rather just go with the underground detention with water quality, that the number 2 can be removed.
Okay, so let's just remove number 2.
Okay, we have a second for that.
Second.
Can we have a motion and second for variance P 22-0159 with one condition? Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Now we entertain a motion for variance P 22-0164.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve variance P 22-0164 for Big Quad T Holdings to reduce required 50-foot land use buffer to 5 feet located at 1091 Park Drive
Is that what, that has one condition on that one, guy? Yes.
with the one condition.
Second.
Have a motion and seconds to approve, variance P 22-0164 with one condition. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. So our next item is consider appointments to the Recreational Affairs Committee for 4 two-year terms beginning October 1st, 2022 and expiring September 30th, 2024. And for one term to begin immediately and expire on September 30, 2023.
We have to specify who's doing which. Well, you already got that figured.
I don't think it.
Okay. I'll make a motion. We appoint the following people to the County Recreation Advisory Committee for 4 years, one beginning October 1st, one expiring September 30th, and one term beginning immediately expiring on September 30th. Those people would be Giles Moore, Richard Ashmore, and Dan Moore.
Second.
Here, a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. So next time,
Did we?
there should be
did
one
we
more.
not, I'm a little confused on that motion. How many appointments we need to be making?
Should be one more appointment.
There's five altogether? Or just four?
We have 5 total, so it's 4 2-year
Yeah, there's a
and
second.
one.
I missed the second page.
We
Okay.
we
My
need to
fault.
specify which one is starts immediately also.
Is that in the blue? Okay, so yes.
Uh,
I also recommend Wesley Scott as far as as far as the appointment, and Craig Moses would do the one starting right now.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Did not scroll down.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. So our next item is consider appointment to the Keep Oconee Beautiful Commission to begin immediately and expire June 30, 2023.
I make a motion, we appoint Michaela Hobbs to the appointment of Keep Oconee Community Commission immediately and expire June 30th,
Second.
23.
You have a motion second. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is consider appointments to the Oconee County Planning Commission for 2 4-year terms to begin October 1st, 2022 and expire September 30, 2026.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve two appointments, Nick Hobbs and Jeff Burks, to begin October 1, 22 with expiration of 9/30 of 26.
Second.
You have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Then our next item will be discuss and consider the county administrator contract and defined benefit change. Dan, do you want to walk through that? Did I miss something?
No.
Okay.
You're right. Yes. Okay. Thanks.
And my mind was somewhere else, but we're on the
Okay.
county administrator contract.
Yes.
Okay. No real change in the county administrator's contract. The budgeted salary is the same, although the provisions are the same. And the one change that we're making, and this is going to require a couple of things, is vesting requirement in the pension plan is reduced to 7 years rather than 10 years. And there are some resolutions that would also need to be approved. In doing that, Holly, those are all attached, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'd need a motion to approve, I think you can do it with one motion, approve the employment contract, approve the addendum 2, and approve the resolution.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve it as stated by council. Sounds good.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I just want to make a personal comment. On my behalf, I appreciate everything Justin does to have allowed me to move into this position 2 years ago, and I appreciate that very much and look forward to continuing our work relationship.
All right. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Congratulations. You've been sentenced to another 5 years. Next time is discuss and consider Calls Creek plant upgrade to 3 million gallons, phase 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the previous meeting, Tim Durham discussed the GMP for the Calls Creek upgrade, and he was in the process of going through some value engineering. We have the final number coming for you. It is phase 2. Remember, between the phase 1, which is already underway, and phase 2, which is going, this is essentially everything to move Calls Creek to 3 million gallons per day of treatment minus the distribution lines, and that will come about a year from now. We'll attempt to get a more favorable market condition than we currently have for pipe. So the GMP for phase 2 would be $17,885,782 with Crowder Construction. This would be paid for through combination of GFA loan, capacity fees, SPLOST, and I would request approval with budget amendments as appropriate.
Very good. Any questions on this? Any public comment? Anyone virtually? With that, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve Cost Creek plant upgrade to 3 million gallons a day, phase 2, as submitted.
A motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Does any commissioner wish any item to be removed from the consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion at this time.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. No need of executive session tonight, so Commissioner Saxon,
Motion adjourned.
Second.
we are adjourned.